Namaskar. Today we are going to discuss the types and the meaning of costs. As per the CBSE syllabus, we have short-run costs only. Short-run costs. In this we have a total cost, total fixed cost, total variable cost, then average cost, average fixed cost, and average variable cost. Then lastly, marginal cost. We will be discussing the meaning of all these costs and the relationship between the costs. This we are going to discuss in this video lesson. The learning objectives of this video lesson are: the learners will understand the meaning of all the costs which we have discussed now. They will understand the meaning of all the costs, and they will be able to draw various cost curves, and they will enable to understand the shape of each type of cost curves. You just see in this concept map, cost. Cost is equal to explicit cost and implicit cost. The sum of explicit cost and implicit cost is the total cost. And here, these cost types, it is short-run cost, we will discuss later. The costs are divided into two, that is total cost and average cost. In the total cost, we have total fixed cost and total variable cost. Likewise, in average cost, we have average fixed cost and average variable cost. Now let us discuss what is the meaning of costs. Why do we study costs? The main aim of studying costs is, the main objective of the producers is to get profit. To find the profit, we need two important variables, namely revenue and costs. The profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. The difference between revenue and cost is known as profit. So to find out the profit, we need to know the cost as well as revenue. First, let us discuss the cost, then we will go for revenue. What is the meaning of cost? The producer, to produce a commodity, he purchases various kinds of inputs. To buy the inputs, he spends money. So the expenditure incurred by a producer on production of a commodity is known as cost. To produce a commodity, the producer, he needs land, the building, laborers, capital, raw material, electricity, various kinds of inputs he needs. So the expenditure incurred to buy or to hire factor inputs is known as cost. See, in the cost, it includes implicit cost and explicit cost. First, what is explicit cost? Explicit cost is the expenditure made to buy or to hire factor inputs. Say for example, a producer, he took a building on rent, so he has to pay rent to the owner of the building. That is explicit cost. He hired laborers, for them he has to pay wages. That is explicit cost. The producer borrows capital, for that he has to pay interest. That is explicit cost. He buys raw materials, for that he has to pay. That is explicit cost. So likewise, the expenditure incurred to buy the factory inputs are known as explicit costs. These payment made to others, the payment made to others to procure the factory inputs, that is known as explicit costs. It is the actual expenditure incurred by a firm on buying or hiring factory inputs, that is known as explicit costs. Next, let us discuss what is implicit cost. Implicit cost is the producer, he himself is owning the production unit. He himself is the owner. He is not hiring any labor. He himself is a manager. He himself is a laborer. The part of his house he is having a production unit. So he is not taking any building on rent. He is not hiring laborer. All the capital invested are his own capital. So in this way, the producer is not paying rent to anyone, because the production unit is part of his house. He is not paying wages to anyone, because he himself is a laborer, manager, everything. And he is not paying interest to anyone. So, for all these rent of his own house and the wages for himself, the interest for his own capital, we estimate the rent for his house, the wages and salaries for himself, and the interest for his own capital. So this is known as the implicit cost. Implicit cost is he is not paying to the others, he estimates value for the services rendered by him. He estimates value for the services rendered by him, by the producer himself, is the implicit cost. So implicit cost is the estimated value of the inputs supplied by the producer. It includes normal profit also. The cost includes normal profit. So the cost is the sum of explicit cost and implicit cost. If we include the explicit cost and the implicit cost, we will get the total cost. The next one is, just we will see the example for the explicit cost and implicit cost. A producer borrows money and starts a business. He himself looks after the business. That's the question. We have to find out implicit and explicit cost. He borrows money, for that he has to give capital to the others. When he makes payment to the others, that is explicit cost. And he himself looks after the business. He himself is the manager, labor, everything. So for that, he estimates some wages. That is implicit cost. Interest for the borrowed money is explicit cost. The estimated wages and salaries for himself is the implicit cost. Another example you see. A producer takes one building on rent to carry out business. He looks after business himself. So here, he takes a building on rent. For that he has to pay rent to the owner of the building. Payment of rent to the owner of the building is the explicit costs, and he looks after the business himself. That is the implicit costs. Next, you see, a farmer invests his own saving, his past saving. He invests as his capital. He is not borrowing anyone. So we have to estimate the interest for his own capital. That is implicit cost. And in doing farming, but hires labor. When he hires laborer, he has to pay wages. That is explicit cost. Next one is the cost. There are short run costs and long run costs. Short run cost. In the short run, the short period, we cannot increase all the factors. Land, labor, capital, organization is there. All the factors we cannot increase during the short period. We can increase only laborers during the short period. So the cost incurred during the short period, by allowing one factor to vary and all the other factors are constant, is known as short run cost. But in the long run, all the factors can be varied. During the long period, we can increase the quantity of land, we can increase the quantity of all the factors. Those are known as long run costs. So in this, in our syllabus, we have only short run costs. So firstly, the short run cost, total costs. Total cost is divided into total fixed cost and total variable cost, or sum of total fixed costs and total variable cost is equal to total cost. So let us discuss what is total fixed cost or fixed costs. The fixed costs or the total fixed costs are those costs which do not change with the level of output. These costs do not change with the level of output. Even the zero level of output, these costs will be same. Even at the increased level of output also, these costs will be same. The costs which do not change with the level of output is known as total fixed costs. So for example, the producer wants to start a business. For that, first he takes a building on rent, and immediately he cannot start the production. It will take not 2 or 3 months. But for 3 months before starting the production, that is at the zero level of output, he has to pay rent. Even before starting of the production, he has to pay municipal taxes, he has to pay insurance premium, he has to pay salaries to the security staff. So these costs incurs even at the zero level of output. Even at the increased level of output also, this cost will be same. Fixed costs are incurred on even when output is zero. Example, the rent of a building, interest on past borrowings, municipal taxes, insurance premium, etc. You see here in this table, the total fixed cost is constant. At the zero level of output is also 60. The 1 level of output also 60. 4 level of output also 60. So the total fixed cost does not change with the changes in the level of output. You can see the total fixed cost curve. it is parallel to the x-axis. It is parallel to the x-axis because at the zero level of output also, this is the total fixed cost. Even at the increased level of output also, total fixed cost is same. So those costs which do not change with the changes in the level of output are known as total fixed costs. The next one is total variable costs. Total variable costs changes with the level of output. If you increase the level of output, these costs will increase. If you are not starting any output, these costs will be zero. At the zero level of output, these costs will be zero. So these cost changes with the changes in the level of output. Right? The next one is example, expenditure on raw material. If you want to increase the production, you need more raw material. If you want to increase the production, you have to employ more laborers. And the expenditure on power also will increase. So these are all the variable costs. You see in this schedule, when the output is zero, total variable cost is zero. When the output increased, total variable cost increases. So you can see that the total variable cost increases with the increase in level of output. We want to increase the output, the expenditure on the variable cost will increase. You see this. This is the total variable cost curve. We studied that the shape of total fixed cost is parallel to the x-axis. Whereas the shape of the TVC is S-shaped. It is increasing, positively sloping. It is S-shaped. Firstly, this curve will be concave, then afterwards it will be convex. So the TVC curve is S-shaped. We will discuss later the reason for the S-shaped TVC curve. TVC is inversely S-shaped. As it initially increases at decreasing rate, later increases at increasing rate. In the initial period, the cost increases, but the rate of increase is lesser. Later, the cost increases, but the rate of increase is higher. You see here, in the initial period, the cost will increase 2%, 3%, 4% like this. Whereas here at the later stage, it will increase 10%, 15%, 19% like this. The percentage increase in the cost will be more at the later stage. The difference between total fixed costs and total variable costs. Total variable cost varies with the level of output. Total fixed cost does not change, do not change with the level of output. It is zero when the output is zero. It can never be zero even if the output is zero. The total variable costs are incurred on the variable factors. These variable factors prevails only during the short period. In the long period, all the factors are variable factors. The fixed factors are only in the short period, and during the long period, all the factors are variable factors. TVC is inversely S-shaped as variable cost initially increases with the decreasing rate, later increases with increasing rate. TFC is horizontal straight line parallel to the x-axis. These are all the examples. total costs. It is nothing but the sum of total fixed cost and total variable costs. Sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost is known as the total cost. You can see here, this is schedule. This is the level of output is given, TFC is given, TFC is the same. It do not change with the level of output. But TVC is changing. TVC is increasing with the level of output. TC here, it is the sum of TFC plus TVC. If you add these two, you will get TC. Say for example, 60 plus 0, 60. 60 plus 50, 110. 60 plus 90, 150. Likewise, the TC is the sum of TFC and TVC. So the difference between TC and TVC is TFC, and the difference between TC and TFC is TVC, because the sum of TVC and TFC is equal to TC. You see the TC curve. TC curve also S-shaped. S-shaped. Initially it will be convex, later it will be concave. First initially concave, later it will be convex. S-shaped TC curve. Next, we are going to discuss the average costs. Average costs are classified into two: average fixed cost and average variable costs. Let us first discuss average fixed costs. This average fixed cost is obtained by dividing the total fixed cost and the quantity of output. The AFC falls with the level of output, as TFC is same at all level of output. And the AFC is equal to TFC divided by Q, quantity of output. This schedule you can see. This output, TFC is the same, the AFC falls. You see here, it is in 60 divided by 0 infinite, 60 divided by 160, 60 divided by 230, 60 divided by 320. As the level of output increases, the average fixed cost decreases because TFC is constant. And you can see here the AFC curve. The shape of AFC curve is, it is falling. It falls and it will never become zero. The name of this curve is known as rectangular hyperbola. Rectangular hyperbola means that the distance from this curve to the exact y-axis and the distance from AFC curve to the x-axis will be same. And if we draw a line from y-axis to this curve, and if we draw that line to the x-axis, this rectangular and another level of output, the same rectangular, it will be same. So it is a rectangular hyperbola. That is, it is equidistant with both the x-axis and y-axis. This AFC falls because the level of output, when the level of output increases, the reason is TFC is constant. And the next one is average variable cost. The average variable cost is, it is the cost which that is obtained by total variable costs divided by quantity of output. And AFC is U-shaped. Initially it falls with the output. After reaching minimum point, it rises with the output. So AFC is equal to total variable cost divided by quantity. And you see the schedule. This is the output and the TVC. AVC is TVC divided by output. 50 divided by 1 is 50. 90 divided by 2 is 45. 120 divided by 3 is 40. You see here, the AVC decreases. First it decreases. First it decreases, then afterwards it increases. It reaches its minimum, then it increases. You can see the shape of this curve. First it decreases, it reaches minimum, then afterwards it increases. The AVC is U-shaped curve. The next one is average costs. It is also known as average total costs. Average cost or the average total cost, it is the sum of average fixed cost and average variable costs. And it is a sum of AFC plus AVC, that is AC or ATC. AC curve also U-shaped. Here also we have first it falls, cost falls, then it reaches minimum, then afterwards it rises. The average cost curve is U-shaped. You can see here the average cost. AFC is there, AVC is there. If we add AFC and AVC, we will get AC. 60 plus 50, 110. 45 plus 30, 75. 40 plus 20, 60. AC also you see, first it decreases 110, 75, 60, then it reaches minimum, then afterwards it increases. Right? So AC also U-shaped. Then the next one is marginal costs. It is one of the very important concepts in microeconomics. Marginal cost is addition to the total costs. Addition to the total costs from the production of one more unit of the commodity. Say for example, when a producer produces 2 units of the commodity, the total cost is 200. When he increases 3rd unit, the total cost increases to 240. So, the addition to the total cost, that is 200 to 240, at 40, due to the production of one more unit, that is from 2 unit to 3rd unit, is known as MC. Addition to the total cost from the production of one more unit of the commodity is known as marginal cost. This is, we can calculate TCN minus TCN minus 1 or TVCN minus TVCN minus 1. Calculating MC with the help of TVC is the very safe method of calculating MC. The marginal cost curve also U-shaped. Then you see the marginal cost curve. Here output is given, TFC is given constant, TVC increases with the level of output, and TC, it is a sum of TFC plus TVC, then MC. MC can be calculated in 2 ways. One is the TCN minus TCN minus 1, right? You see here, TCN is 110, TCN minus 1 is 60. For the first one, there is no additional unit, that's why no MC. 110 minus 60 is 50. See here, addition to the total costs from the production of one more unit of the commodity, 50, that is MC. Then 150 minus 110, 40. 180 minus 150, 30. Likewise, we calculate MC. MC also, you see, first it decreases, then it increases. That's why it is U-shaped. Then MC can be calculated another way with the help of TVC. This is a TVC column. You see here 50 minus 0, 50. 90 minus 50, 40. 120 minus 90, 30. Likewise, we can calculate MC. We will get the same answer. We will get the same answer. So there is advantage of calculating MC with the help of TVC that we will see later while discussing the numerical examples. Another important point you have to note here is, if we add the MCs of all these level of output, it will be equivalent to the TVC. Here also 330 is sum of MC. If you add all these MCs, you will get 330. The TVC is 330. Sum of MCs is equal to TVC. Right? So here, from this schedule, we understand that the level of output increases, TFC is constant, TVC increases, and the TC also increases. TVC also increases, TC also increases. And MC is U-shaped. Let us lastly discuss what we have studied now. Some questions. The sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost is known as, please tell me the answer. Sum of total fixed cost and total variable cost. The answer is total costs. Next question. The difference between average total cost and average variable costs. Difference between ATC and AVC. The answer is average fixed costs. And the next question is, we know the shape of TFC is horizontal parallel to x-axis, but the shape of TVC and TC is S-shaped. S-shaped. Then why do AFC curve falls as the level of output increases? We studied the reason, that is, the TFC is constant. That's why AFC falls when the level of output increases. So the shape of marginal cost curve, that is U-shaped. Right? The last one. The sum of MCs is equal to, the answer is TVC. So, in this chapter, we discussed cost. Cost is the sum of implicit cost and explicit costs. Explicit cost is the expenditure or the payment made to buy or hire the factory inputs from outside. Implicit cost is the estimated cost of the factors supplied by the owner himself or herself. Then we studied the short-run cost, total variable fixed costs. Total fixed cost is constant at all the level of output. Total variable cost increases with the level of output. Then average fixed cost, it is total fixed cost divided by quantity of output. Then average fixed cost curve is downward sloping rectangular hyperbola. Average variable cost, it is total variable cost divided by the level of output. We get AVC, it is U-shaped. Then ATC, it is the sum of AFC plus AVC. Then lastly we studied MC. It is the addition to the total cost from the production of one more unit of the commodity. Right? MC. We can calculate MC in two ways. That is TCN minus TCN minus 1 and TVCN minus TVCN minus 1. Thank you. And in the next lesson, we will discuss the relationship between various cost curves.